For centuries, long guns dominated the battlefield and the frontier. Muskets and rifles carried explorers across continents and soldiers through countless wars. But in the 19th century, a new invention changed firearms forever: the repeating revolver. This series follows that technological revolution, tracing the evolution of Colt's legendary handguns from the Colt Patterson of 1836 to the firearms that shaped the American West and inspired those of Red Dead Redemption 2. It all began with the Colt Patterson, the world's first commercially produced Colt revolver, introduced in 1836. Just over a decade later came the massive Colt Walker of 1847. And before the famous Colt Navy revolver, introduced in 1851, this enormous black powder revolver helped shape the future of Colt firearms and the American frontier. Samuel Colt was an American inventor, industrialist, and entrepreneur whose innovations transformed firearms technology during the 19th century. Born on July 19, 1814, in Hartford, Connecticut, Colt displayed an interest in mechanics from a young age. As a teenager, he became fascinated by the rotating mechanisms of ships' wheels and capstans while working aboard a merchant vessel. That observation inspired the concept of a revolving cylinder that could align multiple loaded chambers with a single barrel, allowing several shots to be fired before reloading. Although he patented his revolving firearm in 1836, his first company struggled financially because percussion revolvers were still a relatively new technology and military demand remained limited. Beyond his firearms, Colt was a pioneer of modern manufacturing. At his Hartford factory, he embraced interchangeable parts, specialized machine tools, and assembly line-style production techniques that improved efficiency, consistency, and large-scale production. He also became one of the first industrialists to aggressively market his products worldwide, using elaborate demonstrations, catalogs, and personalized presentations to military officers, politicians, and foreign dignitaries. His combination of engineering innovation, manufacturing efficiency, and business strategy helped make the Colt name internationally recognized. Samuel Colt died on January 10, 1862, at the age of 47, but his influence on firearms history endured long after his death. The company he founded continued producing revolvers that became synonymous with the American frontier, westward expansion, law enforcement, and military service. Colt's designs profoundly influenced handgun development around the world, and his name remains one of the most iconic in firearms history. His legacy is reflected not only in the revolvers that bear his name, but also in the manufacturing methods and industrial practices that helped shape modern American manufacturing. The Colt Walker was created at Captain Samuel Hamilton Walker's request after his experience using the Colt Patterson during the Mexican-American War. Captain Samuel Hamilton Walker was a Texas Ranger, soldier, and officer in the United States Mounted Rifles, who earned a reputation as one of the American frontier's most capable fighting men. During his service in Texas and throughout the Mexican-American War, Walker carried Colt Patterson revolvers and witnessed both their strengths and shortcomings in combat. Walker believed soldiers needed a revolver with greater stopping power, a stronger frame, and a 6-shot cylinder. The Patterson's 36 caliber chambering and 5-shot design had shown limitations in combat against mounted opponents and under harsh battlefield conditions. Tragically, Walker was killed in action in October 1847, only months after the Colt Walker entered military service, but his influence on firearms history would endure for generations. By the mid-1840s, Samuel Colt's original patent arms manufacturing company had failed, and he was no longer producing firearms. Captain Walker's proposal arrived at a pivotal moment in Colt's career. Impressed by Walker's combat experience and supported by an order from the U.S. Army for 1,000 revolvers, Colt seized the opportunity to return to firearms manufacturing. The success of the Colt Walker not only revived his business, but also laid the foundation for what would become one of the most influential firearms companies in American history. The Colt Walker was unlike any revolver that had come before it. Chambered in .44 caliber, it featured a 6-shot cylinder, a 9-inch barrel, and could hold an astonishing 60 grains of black powder, one of the largest powder charges ever used in a production revolver. Weighing approximately 4.5 pounds when loaded, the Walker was far too large for comfortable belt carry and was instead transported in holsters attached to a horse's saddle. Every aspect of its design prioritized battlefield performance over convenience, making it one of the most formidable handguns of its era. The Walker's tremendous power quickly earned it a reputation as one of the most effective military sidearms of the 19th century. Chambered in .44 caliber, it fired a lead-round ball weighing approximately 140 to 145 grains and could be loaded with up to 60 grains of black powder, one of the largest powder charges ever used in a production revolver. This combination produced a muzzle velocity of roughly 1,000 to 1,150 feet per second, generating exceptional muzzle energy and giving mounted soldiers a handgun capable of delivering devastating stopping power at distances far beyond those of most contemporary pistols. Combined with its 6-shot cylinder, the Walker provided cavalrymen and Texas Rangers with a significant advantage in combat, allowing them to fire multiple powerful shots before reloading. In firearms, the term grain, GR, is a unit of weight, not a measure of size. 1 grain equals 1/7,000th of a pound, or approximately 0.0648 grams. The term has been used for centuries and originally referred to the weight of a single grain of barley. Today, grains are used to measure both the amount of gunpowder in a firearm and the weight of the projectile. When referring to powder, grains indicate the weight of the propellant charge. In black powder firearms, such as the Colt Walker or Colt Navy Revolver, a larger powder charge generally produces greater muzzle velocity and energy, although it also increases recoil, muzzle blast, and stress on the firearm. For example, the Colt Walker was designed to hold up to 60 grains of black powder, making it one of the most powerful percussion revolvers ever built. When referring to the projectile, grains indicate the weight of the bullet or round ball. Heavier projectiles generally retain energy better and penetrate more deeply, while lighter projectiles often travel at higher velocities. For example, a typical .44 caliber round ball used in a Colt Walker weighs approximately 140 to 145 grains, while conical bullets designed for the Walker often weighed around 200 to 220 grains. In modern firearms, projectile weights vary widely depending on caliber. A common 9mm bullet weighs 115, 124, or 147 grains, while a standard .45 ACP bullet typically weighs 230 grains. Although both powder and projectile weights are measured in grains, they represent two different things. Powder grains measure the amount of propellant that generates pressure and propels the projectile, while projectile grains measure the weight of the bullet or ball itself. Together, these two measurements determine a firearm's velocity, recoil, muzzle energy, and overall performance. Despite its impressive performance, the Colt Walker was not without flaws. Its immense size and weight made it impractical to carry on the hip, requiring saddle holsters for mounted troops. Early revolvers also suffered from mechanical issues, including loading levers that could drop under recoil, and, in some cases, cylinders that failed due to heavy powder charges or manufacturing limitations of the period. While these problems did not overshadow the Walker's effectiveness, they revealed opportunities for improvement and inspired Colt's next generation of revolvers. Although the Colt Walker remained in production for only a short time, its impact on firearms history was profound. It proved the military value of a powerful repeating handgun and established many of the design principles that would influence future Colt revolvers. Determined to improve the Walker's practicality and reliability, Samuel Colt refined the design into the Dragoon series, producing the first, second, and third model Dragoons. These improved revolvers bridged the gap between the massive Walker and the lighter, more practical Colt Navy Revolver of 1851, ultimately paving the way for the Colt Army Model 1860 and the firearms that became enduring symbols of the American West. Unfortunately, Red Dead Redemption 2 does not currently have a historically accurate Dragoon mod, so we'll continue our journey with the Colt Navy Revolver of 1851, the next major step in the evolution of Colt's legendary handguns. Thanks to the incredible attention to detail from the modding community, the percussion caps can even be seen on the rear of the cylinder when the firearm is viewed up close, adding an extra layer of historical authenticity rarely seen in games. While there are a few compromises for gameplay, the historical representation is remarkably faithful. The most noticeable difference is that the in-game revolver is chambered in .38 caliber rather than the Walker's original .44 caliber black powder load, and it reloads using self-contained metallic cartridges instead of the historically correct cap and ball percussion system. These changes were made to better fit the game's mechanics, but they do little to diminish the experience of wielding one of history's most legendary revolvers. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this historical look at the Colt Walker, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with others who appreciate firearms history, the Old West, Red Dead Redemption, and the incredible work of the modding community. In the next episode, we'll continue our journey through the evolution of Colt revolvers as we explore the Colt Navy Revolver, the elegant sidearm that became one of the most widely carried and influential revolvers of the 19th century, leaving a legacy that extended from the American frontier to the Civil War.